Jungkook, that's so unfair. Why would you ladies always team up against me? He complained as his wife Ryan stuck her tongue out at him and hugged her grandmother tighter than before. Jungkook, Granny, you too? Grandma, who is teaming up against my son? Of course, it's all yours. She said as she moved her handmade cookies towards Jungkook, which Wine wanted to keep all to herself. Wine seemed offended as she crossed her arms. Wine, you don't know how it is when a woman gets jealous. She glared as she held the knife from the counter, glaring at him, who smiled awkwardly in return. Wine received a slap on the back of her head by her grandmother. She went and moved towards her husband, who kissed her head, comforting her. Jungkook grinned teasily. Jungkook, Grandma, admit it. You love me more, right? Grandma, I don't love any of you. Do your breakfast and leave. I'm getting old because of these kids. Wine, come on, don't be shy. Grandma, deep down you know I'm your favorite. When Wine received a death glare, she moved behind her husband for protection. But then Grandma chuckled and held Wine on her arm and gave her the cookies as well. All of them did their breakfast while they were in Wine's grandmother's home. Wine was missing her a lot and wanted to visit her. The elder one packed them a lot of food as well for the next few days. Jungkook loved coming here. This was his and Wine's only family, a place which felt like home. Wine stayed beside her the whole time, and the faces Jungkook made both of them laugh. That's all he wanted, to see them happy and safe, always. Soon they exchanged hugs and kisses, promising to return soon. As they left, Grandma stood at the door, waving with a smile. Take care, my loves, and come back anytime. Grandma needs attention. Wine. Or I can stay with you here. Grandma. Who'll take care of your husband then? Wine. He is not a kid. He can manage himself. Wine grabbed Jungkook's wrist and ran off because she knew the next was her receiving a sleeper in answer. Jungkook laughed as they headed towards their car. Jungkook decided to drop Wine off first before heading to his office. Wine, don't laugh. You have never received a slipper from her. Jungkook, well, I believe the time is not that far, he said as he started the car and drove off. Wine, I'm still worried for her though. I asked her so many times to move on with us, but she never listens. Jungkook, I did too, but this old lady is surely made of steel. Vine chuckled and shook her head, agreeing with that. Jungkook held her hand, intertwining their fingers, and kissed the back of it before bringing them to his lap. Jungkook, let's bring her home by hook or by crook. I can't leave her like this either. She nodded and Jungkook caressed her hand while driving her home. Fine, let's buy a lot of grocery and invite her. She'll definitely come over to cook them. Then I won't let her go. Her grandmother loved cooking a little too much to reject that, and they both knew it. Jungkook, what if you'll get a sleeper in return? Fine, what are you for? I'll hide behind you. She grinned, then laughed at his dumbfounded expressions, but he didn't reject. It made her feel all warmed up knowing she always had him. As they reached their home, Vine's phone rang. She answered. Vine. Hello? Grandma? Silence greeted her on the other hand. Confused, she repeated it several times. Vine. Hello? Grandma? Is everything okay? Jungkook watched as Vine's expression shifted from confusion to worry. She hung up and dialed her grandmother's number again. But this time, there were no response at all. Concern etched his face. Jungkook suggested, let's go back. Maybe she needs something. Nodding anxiously, Vine agreed. Yeah, something feels off. Let's go. They rushed back to grandmother's home, and as soon as they arrived, a piercing silence enveloped the atmosphere. The door creaked open, revealing a scene of chaos. The living room was all messed up. Nothing was at its place. Vine's heart sank at the sight of bloodstains. Her breath caught, and her hands trembled as she scanned the room. Junko followed after her, his expressions turning stern. He looked around while keeping an eye on his wife. Nothing seemed right. They just left and everything was nicely arranged at its place. He halted in his step at a very terrifying scene. Wine, Jungkook, I'm so worried I can't find. She stopped as soon as her eyes laid on Grandma's lifeless body. Wine's knees weakened and she collapsed beside Grandma. Her eyes teared up immediately and disbelief filled her whole. Wine, no. Grandma, please wake up. This can't be happening. She crawled near the body and started to shake her grandma, who was filled in blood. Wine, you can't leave me. Jungkook, Jungkook, look at her. She's not waking up. Please call the ambulance. Please do something. She cried out loud. Her own hands filled up in blood. Jungkook knelt beside her and took her in his embrace. He checked Grandma properly for any signs of life. There was none. She was already gone. Vine screamed and cried, trying to push him away only to save her grandmother. Jungkook tightened his embrace around her, not letting her escape. He didn't say a single word. His eyes turned red in pain and anger at whoever did this to his family. He stared at the body drowned in grief and madness while handling his wife, who tried crying out loud, losing herself completely at the tragedy that came their way. Her grandma was her only family member left to her, and now she was gone too. How was Wyan supposed to take this? Jungkook's mad eyes shifted from the body to the letter beside it on the floor. Something was written on it with blood as he read it. This is the trailer. Next is your wife, Joan. You'll pay for everything you did. Jungkook tightened his hold around his wife, who stopped struggling by this point. His whole body was practically shaking in anger at that point, as his eyes bled. You'll be the one to pay. Joan will personally show you how hell looks like. To be continued.